Talk Radio.
Well, hey, this is Liberty Lisa, and today we have a groundbreaking new show with our new special guest, Earl Conlon, and he'll be hosting the Dashboard Outlaw. Earl, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Anyway, today's show is going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride, so put on your patriotic seat belts and brace yourself. Dudes to the back and chicks up front. Here we go. Anyway, I want to do this show where the first hour, me or a guest will do our comments and our talking and all that. And the second hour will be taking all the phone calls, unless, of course, I get tired of talking and listening to myself or something, then we take the calls sooner. But I want to get out my comments first. So what I want to talk about is out-of-control government and out-of-control police. And I also want to talk about the people that want to either go to vote the bums out or they want to strap on the weapons and outnumber everybody and go to war. There's a happy medium between the two, and I want to touch on all those kind of things. But anyway, forgive me, I'm really nervous.
You're doing fine, man. You're doing fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying. I'm trying to make sure I don't have brain farts, because sometimes I go to speaking and my head just doesn't put out my mouth what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I guess everybody that is listening to me would probably want to know a little bit about me. Well, I'm 51 years old. Married to the love of my life, Linda. I have 3 amazing children that are grown up. I've been a truck driver since I was 21 legally. We won't talk about the illegal years. I left home at an early age. I grew up in New Jersey. I went to hitchhiking all over this country, and I've lived in every major city in this country, and I know what it's like to live on the streets, and I know what it's like to live hard. But other than that, I try to be a decent guy. I try to be logical and compassionate. But there's a switch that goes on and off when people try to hurt people or family or friends that makes me not such a nice guy. Yeah, that'll make sense later on. What I want to talk about to start off the show is when we go and we listen to the people on Freedom Connector or Facebook or any other website and you read the comments, everybody's either one extreme or the other extreme. You talk about war with the government and everybody's, no, we can't do that. That would be wrong. But that they want to go and they want to vote the guys out, which would work if we were the ones picking the people to vote. I don't know about anybody else out there, but I've never picked any candidate. Nobody that I've ever said, hey, let's get this guy up and put him in office. No, never happened. They always give us and say, here's your selection. And then we got to vote on whoever they give us. And whoever they are is being picked for us by some establishment of people that we don't even know. Romney and McCain are perfect examples of that. We didn't pick those assholes. Anyway, sorry. I'll try to keep my trucker mouth to a minimum here. I should give everybody else a fair warning about one other thing. Those people that are on the prudish side and got dry sense of humor, you might want to keep your fingers close to your ears so that you can stick your fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 because I have a really disgusting sense of humor. So, you've been warned. Anyway,
we don't censor here on the Truth Emerges Network, just so you know. So
yes,
if you
ma'am.
have an
I
occasional...
figured I should mention I should censor myself out of respect for my audience. So that I don't want to be like some other people where F-bombs are dropped every 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Anyway, back to the topic. The topic is out of control government. First of all, I need to let everybody know that when I speak, I'm not singling anyone out or any particular group out. I speak in general. I always have, always will. I don't know why I do that, but I do. When I speak, I just flat out speak in general. Try to keep that in mind when you listen. Anyway, government, whether it's the president or all the way down to the local police officer, every stinking one of them are corrupt, and I can prove this. First of all, have you heard any state, federal, or local government passing a law, a statute, an ordinance, a regulation, anything, a policy, a department, anything that enhances freedom and liberty? Can anybody think of that? I can't. I've never heard of anything. Everything that they make as a law is restricting us, but not them. Now, our Constitution was invented by the founders on a really good note, but it's only effective if there's good, honorable people in all our offices. Now, here's the problem. You get these people out there that are trying to be something that they're not. As the Bible says, wolves in sheep's clothing. Lisa, I want to give an analogy, and I need you to play along. Would you help me with this?
Sure.
Okay. Let's say, for example, I'm representing about 3 million people, and these 3 million people have been telling you, this is going to sound absurd, ridiculous, but I have a point. Okay, these 3 million people email you, text you, fax you, write you letters, call you, and they're all telling you the same thing, and then I come up one day and I hand you this petition with 3 million signatures, and the petition is, we do not want you no longer to be feminine, attractive, womanly, ladylike. We want you to be more macho, more manly. What are you going to say to those 3 million people if that such a thing ever happened?
I'm going to tell them that that's interesting.
You would tell those 3 million people to kiss your ass. Am I right?
Pretty much.
All right. Now, same scenario, but let's put it to you this way. If you do not give these 3 million people what they want, they're going to force you into a sex change, take away the power of the poontang, and they're going to make you take steroids that make you grow facial hair and get a buff body like a dude, or they're going to kill you. Now, how do you respond?
Well, that's where I draw the line in the sand. You know, that's where I would have to defend my right to be who I am, and if that means risking death, then that's what I would do.
Okay, well, now, here's what our politicians do. They would not risk death and go face-to-face with 3 million people and say, yeah, screw you, pal, I am who I am. They don't want to do that because they're wolves in sheep's clothing. What they will do is they will tell you, oh, yeah, sure, they'll cut their hair, they'll put on man's clothes, they'll walk like a man, talk like a man in public. You see what I'm saying? Do you follow where I'm going with this? Otherwise, they'll appease those 3 million people to save their seat of power, to save their power structure. Now, the point behind all this is as ridiculous as it sounds, we could not come to you and ask you or tell you, stop being a woman, stop being an attractive woman, or else. We couldn't do that because it's stupid. But when you go and you sign petitions and send faxes and emails and all that to these politicians in D.C. and local, you're doing exactly just that. You're asking a bunch of corrupt, evil people to stop being what they really are. So then they'll get up there and talk like a conservative to make you think, well, I guess he's not that bad. But the fact is that the good Lord said, a good tree will produce good fruits. A bad tree produces bad fruits. And the only thing we see coming out of government, from the president to the local cop, is bad fruit. If everybody that's telling me, well, you're wrong, or oh, there's good cops out there, where are they? Why aren't they turning in the bad cops? Why aren't they out there arresting the people giving them unconstitutional orders and telling them to enforce unconstitutional laws? Why are they not being trained to know the difference between a constitutional law versus an unconstitutional law? Why is it that every cop I've ever asked, give me the 3 elements involved in the cause of action, and not one of them can answer that question? And I have one stand there in court, and when I said that to him in court, he looks at the judge and says, I have no idea what you're talking about. That judge knew what I was talking about, but he denied my rights even so. So the point is, we've got to understand that all these people that are in power, every one of them, have to go because they've all been selected, not by we the people, but by them, the establishment. And their establishment, let's say the RNC and DNC, just as an example, let's say they say, well, we'll let this guy work, that guy work, and this guy work, and that guy work. And then they'll check with their bosses in the elite, the Illuminatis, or whatever the hell they are, the big cheeses, and they say, yeah, we can use that guy. He's on our side. Yeah, we'll use that guy. Ronald Reagan was a monkey wrench in their plans. He won in spite of their trying to run their other guys. Now, if you remember, George Bush Sr. was in the picture long before Reagan was. And then after Reagan, George Bush Sr. gets up there, becomes president, and then boldly announces about the New World Order. So all these people that think that the New World Order is coming, I say you're wrong. The New World Order is here. And America is that Antichrist that is controlling all these other governments. And as you can see in the news today, Obama is doing everything he can to piss off Putin. And if he pisses off Putin, he's pissing off Iran. And if he pisses off Iran, he's pissing off China. World War III is on its way if this guy keeps going. How do we stop these people? How do we slow their agenda? Everybody wants to either do it the peaceful way, or they want to strap on the weapons and go in as a standing army and say, well, we outnumber them 1,000 to 1. Well, I personally think that would be stupid in the third degree, because these cops have been training. Now, it's illegal for them to use the military on our soil. So instead of using the military, they simply militarize the police departments. We've been seeing that all over the place. So now we've got the DHS is Obama's Citizens Defense Force that's just as well funded and just as well equipped as the United States military. And look at the Tennessee State Police website. You'll see that they've already been in bed with that state, and not to mention all these other states. And so they're militarizing the police, getting all set up for civil unrest, because they know that this economy is about to collapse. And when it does, all those other countries are going to collapse right along with us, because their dollar is the world currency, the reserve world currency. And because of that, it's a domino effect. We go down, everybody goes down with us. And then all those people in all those other countries are going to say, "They're frickin' Americans. It's all their fault. Let's get them." Next thing you know, we've got World War III for sure. We're fighting all these countries, as well as a civil war, left against right, and a revolution war, people against the government. And I pray to God that George Washington's vision is correct, where that vision says that we come out victorious against all the armies of the world. So I pray that's right. But you understand where I'm going with all this, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is great stuff, Earl. I mean, obviously you've given it a lot of thought.
That's all I do when I drive, is I think, I listen, and I learn.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember everything. I can't quote dates and names and stuff like that because I suck. I'm senile, but I can remember things like what's going on. And good Lord, I don't know. Maybe it's coming from God, but I see all this Book of Revelation stuff happening, and I see it coming. But here's another thing that you made me just think of. Everybody whines and cries about, oh, we can't do this because it'll cause martial law. As soon as that dollar collapses, we will be in martial law. As soon as some Occupy Wall Street or some big protest goes across state lines happens and gets a little angry, we'll be in martial law. As soon as Russia or Iran or North Korea or anybody comes over here and starts a fight with us, we'll be in martial law. In other words, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's the same as Lisa walking through a bad town in Los Angeles, knowing damn right well that if she leaves this house and goes to that grocery store just a mile up the road, she might not make it because she knows it's a bad neighborhood. Why would you do that? You see what I'm saying? The point is that martial law is coming. Well, there's a good side to martial law. If they declared martial law, first of all, we would know exactly who to shoot. And second of all, we would know who supports that martial law. And therefore, once we've caught them, we would know who to hang. And we should also thank the government for building all those FEMA camps, because we're going to have all those politicians, all those bad cops, all those bad military people, all those jihadists that are running around our country, all those progressives that hate the Constitution, and every one of these people that have been working against the American Constitution, the freedom and liberty, well, now we have a place to keep them once we win the war. And that would be their own damn FEMA camps that they built for us. So the way I see it, I say bring it on, because, it's going to happen, might as well happen now. Why should we wait for them to come to us? Because if we're sitting in our house sleeping or watching TV or taking a bath or having supper, and then all of a sudden a bunch of cops are breaking into your house and dragging you out, you're going to be no better than the people that were in Boston walking out with their hands on top of their heads with a bunch of cops that just stormed their houses without warrants and walked them out with gunpoint. That's where we're going to be if we wait for them to come to us, because we are unorganized. And because we're unorganized, they would win. But there is a way to beat them. You got to change the rules. I know I'm a Star Trek fan. My favorite character was Captain Kirk. Why was he my favorite character? Because Captain Kirk, when he was against all odds, how did he win? He changed the rules. And every time he changed the rules of the situation, he came out victorious. Of course, he would lose the guy that was a newcomer and nobody knew who he was. And every episode, the ensign got shot or something. Anyway, Captain Kirk made his thing by changing the rules. I think a lot like he does. So how do we win against government and out-of-control cops? Well, we got to start now. And the way to do that is become a ghost. You can't very well go after something you can't find or you can't see. How do you become a ghost? Well, let me draw a picture for everybody. Imagine a black mask, kind of like Spider-Man's mask, where you can't see any facial color or skin color, nothing. and maybe a set of dark sunglasses to cover your eyes, and your hands have black gloves, and your body has black gloves, and there's all these cameras everywhere. We paid for those cameras. So you go out in the middle of the night, you shoot those cameras. Now you're taking away their surveillance. You also got lots and lots of unemployed people and stay-at-home moms. These people would be invaluable to go out and log. Where does that cop live? What time does he leave for work? Where does he go? Where's he at lunchtime? What time does he go home? Where does he spend his weekends off? Log everything. Who is his wife? What does his wife do? Where does his kids go to school? So then, when you know where these people are at certain times of the day and you know where they're vulnerable, that's when you go. You don't have to go in and blow their heads off. I'm not saying that. But you get them. You get them cornered where they can't call for help. You could even bluff them. Let's say you get somebody that's good with a camera, take pictures of the wife and kids that with a crosshair in it, and you show that cop that in pictures, said, look, you either put your gun in your mouth and you pull the trigger, or these people will get it. He doesn't know it's a bluff. There you go. And when you leave that scene, you leave a scene with a little compact disc from a YouTube video of where they committed their crime against the people. For example, those 3 cops in San Diego, they broke into the people's house without a warrant, and then they tasered the people. Then there's these other ones where they break into these people's house and they shoot their dogs, and one of them shot their son. Well, these people, you ought to take those videos off of YouTube, put it on a CD, and you leave it behind after he pulled the trigger and put it in his own mouth and did that. And on the cover of that CD, it should say, obey the Constitution, or else. You would only have to do this 4 or 5 times, and then it would make people start thinking, whoa, these people are serious, and that would put fear in the government's heart. And once they've got fear, there will be respect as well. Am I a little overboard, or do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, I understand how a person could think like this. I think it's scary the way that times are right now.
You're right. I shouldn't have to think this way. I should not have to think this way.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way.
I
We've
think
tried
it's
every
kind of a matter
way.
of. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I think it's just kind of a matter of being prepared mentally for whatever happens.
Well,
but
I'm
not
sorry,
being
Lisa.
proactive.
I'm sorry. I have to. I'm sorry. I have to disagree with you on this because, like I said, I grew up on the streets. And if you ever wait for the enemy to come to you, chances are you're going to lose. If that ever happens, no war has ever been won on just defense. And every time that you ever sit back and let them come to you, the only way that's ever worked is that you knew they were coming, when they were coming, and they walked into an ambush. That's the only way. Now, what I'm saying, I'm not advocating for violence. I'm advocating for detaining these cops, detaining these you'll never get to your local mayor or your governor or the Senate and the Congress in D.C. You'll never get to them until you take away their enforcers. Once you take away their arms and their muscle, then you can walk up and detain them, put them in cuffs. Then you can walk them out onto the stairs and sentence them for treason and hang their lop asses. But until then, you are never, ever going to get to them because they're too well protected. They know it. They think they're untouchable. But if I was the guy in charge, there would be people all over this country running around, logging and surveilling every government agent, every government cop, every government period, logging everything. So we would know where they are at all times, just like they do us. And then we would plan our attacks. But we would do it as ghosts, where there was no fingerprints, no facial recognition things. We would do it where we don't have to shoot them. We don't have to kill them. We just need to strike fear in their hearts. That's the point. And if you got out there, let's say in the city of Las Vegas, and 10 cops were found with their own gun, blow their own heads off, it would scare a lot of people in government, and they would start thinking about it. And if every one of those people were found that way with obey the Constitution or else, they would start thinking different than they are now. Right now, the way they think, that you can't touch me. I'm above you. I'm the authority. You're the subject. You'll do what I tell you to do. I'm the one in control. I'm the one in charge. They have forgotten that we, the people, are their boss. And they'll not respect us, and they will not obey us if they think that they can just do whatever they want to do, and we will do nothing about it. And in fact, I'll tell you what, I believe that Obama is exactly doing just that, because we signed petitions, they still push their agenda full force. We've elected Tea Party people into the Senate and Congress, and still the progressive agenda is still coming through full force. We're stuck with Obamacare in spite of all the Tea Party rallies that we had, because Obama sits there and thinks they're all talk. They're never going to do anything. However, there are one individual that I can think of and one group of individuals that I can think of that did do something. It was small, but it was something. Man, he was a talk show host, Adam Koresh. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's the man that loaded the shotgun. Yeah, he's the one that loaded the shotgun on YouTube. And they came and they arrested him, and he's a political prisoner for months in D.C. for a while. They just let him go a while back. But the fact is, though, when I saw that video, what really, really pissed me off is that he should not have been standing there alone loading those weapons. He should have had thousands upon thousands of people standing there loading the weapons with him. He should have not have been alone. Now, the other people, the group that did something, were the veterans just after the trucker rally. It was a small thing, but they picked up those barriers and threw them on the lawn at the White House and said, screw you, Obama. And then what did Obama say? Well, if you don't like the way things are going, you can always elect another president or somebody else. That's the way things work. And then he passed a law saying that there would be no more of that, no more petitions, no protesting. And here I'm looking at the news about these people that are protesting the oil pipeline, and they're getting arrested because of that law that he passed right after the war veterans threw the barriers on the lawn. So we have lost our freedom of speech. We have lost our ability to protest. It's here. The New World Order is here. Martial law's here. They just ain't rolling out the tanks just yet. But it's here. And if we just keep sitting on our thumbs thinking that somehow, magically, we're going to elect some new people and get them in the presidency and the Congress and Senate, and then one day everything is going to be kumbaya, and we're all going to go back to the way things were, and we weren't going to have to worry about all this stuff again. If that's what people think, they're not paying attention. Because this is not just happening here in America. This is happening all over the world. So I guess I rambled on enough. You want to take a call or two?
Well, actually that was great. You actually took up an entire half an hour straight just talking about some of your ideas, and, obviously you have thought them out.
I can keep on going. If we got no callers, I can keep going. I don't know. But if you want to...
Right now we don't. So back in the studio, if you look with me, there's two. Are you in the studio at all?
No, Can I get in there at this time?
You can if you want. If you're on the phone,
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Well, anyway, if you go back, you can actually see, that I'm on and you're on, and I can show you about that as well. But anyway, Earl, it's great to have you on board, and we met through, what was it, Truckers for the Constitution? Is that what it was?
Well, originally it was Truckers Take Back America, shut down D.C. And that all got changed around because I got thrown under the bus and everybody else tried to take credit for my idea. So that's the way it went. That's the way it went. But, maybe one day we'll do it again. I'm waiting to see what happens with Operation Spring. I have a bad feeling about that myself. I think that once all those people are in one place, that's when it's going to really hit the fan, because if I was the bad guy in D.C., that's when I would strike, because you could knock out a hell of a lot of them in one shot right there.
Right.
And if they're all listening to these generals and they come in peacefully and unarmed, yeah. If I was the bad guy in D.C., oh yeah, that's when I would strike right then and there, because they came unarmed.
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't want to be a part of instigating anything, because I think they're trying to get us riled up to where we do something, and once they do, then they can bring in the tanks, and we don't want that.
I understand your concern. Let me ask you this. Let's say you and Austin sitting back enjoying a nice day, and then one day these criminals break into your house and they point guns at you. They beat the hell out of you in front of them. Now, you're going to be wishing at that moment, both of you are going to be wishing that you done something before that happened, but you didn't know it was going to happen. So all of a sudden, there it was. Now you're stuck getting molested by some stranger, and he's getting beat the hell out of by a couple of guys. All right, so now take those bad guys and put them in a uniform and a badge. You still want to wait until it comes and gets you when you least expect it, or would you rather do something to nip that in the ass before it happens?
Well, and I think that's why a lot of people want to have guns and want to have the right to use them even on police officers if they come into their homes, without proper warrants, without, proper order and respect. And the way things are going now, yeah, it's pretty scary. And people have every right to feel scared, honestly.
Okay, so now Now stop and think this, though. And you don't think that they're going to call you up and say, hey, we're going to be at your house at 1 o'clock tonight in the morning, and we're going to raid your house, and then we're going to beat your boyfriend up, and then we're going to rape you, and we're going to steal your money while we're there, too. You don't think they're going to do that, do you?
Well, obviously not. I mean, when things like that happen, it's just because you're dealing with some crooked individuals, and you don't know what they're going to do from moment to moment. And unfortunately, we also can't just proactively go shooting people or.
No, but that's what I said. That's what I said. No, I'm not advocating that we go around shooting people, but you could put them in positions. You can corner these people when they are vulnerable and let them know how serious we are about our freedom. And how do you do that? You have to strike fear in their hearts. It's no different than when you was a little girl throwing a little fit, mom or dad wailed your ass because you were misbehaving. And once that happened, you thought twice about acting like that again because you didn't want your ass wailed. Well, in school, Lisa, what are you doing back there? All right, because of what you just did, the rest of the class has to stay 10 minutes longer after class. Now everybody's pissed off to you because the teacher just punished everybody because of what you did. Same thing. So if you're punishing a few cops or a few politicians or judges, then you're punishing all of them and making all of them think, well, shit, I don't want these people coming after me. I don't want that to happen to me. We ourselves don't have to pull a trigger. We just got to be smart. I've just given up a made-up scenario here. I'm not even saying let's go out and shoot them. If that's the case, then let's be stupid and go barrel to barrel with the police and the militaries and everybody else like everybody wants to do. They go, oh, we outnumber them 1,000-1. Yeah, but there's going to be a hell of a lot of us slaughtered before we won that war. The idea is to win the war without us getting killed. So the fact is, you've got to start doing countermeasures now. And in order to do that, you've got to be a ghost. Don't give them any evidence. No fingerprints, no face, no idea where you came from. Take away their surveillance cameras, shoot them cameras out, grab a hold of the people, cuff them, and throw them in a warehouse and make them learn the Constitution before you release them, whatever. But you got to do something. You can't just sit at home and enjoy in your bathtub thinking everything's going to be fine, because one of these days you're going to be sitting in that bathtub and relaxing, and the next thing you know, boom, you got 20 cops in your house because somebody higher up said it's time to start detaining these people that own guns. And let's look at Connecticut. Missouri's got one. New Jersey's got one. They're making the move, and they're making it now because they know that now's the time to do it. Because once they saw the uprising happening in Connecticut, they have to do what they got to do, because if they don't, and we see Connecticut people win against the Connecticut government, that's going to shoot all their plans out the water. They cannot allow that to happen. So in order for them to win the day, they're going to have to get all these states that want to confiscate guns, get it started. And once it's started and the war starts because they want the guns and the people don't want to give up the guns, now it's over state lines. Now it's a federal matter. Now Obama could say martial law. Like I said, it's inevitable. It's coming. And the only thing you can do now is put out stumbling blocks. And we should have been up in arms and doing something the day George Bush Sr. said that thing on TV about the New World Order. That's when we should have rose up. But we didn't. We thought, well, our government will never do that. Well, here it is. It's coming. And as soon as the dollar collapses, it's really here. I don't like sounding like doom and gloom. I really don't. But the fact is, I'm a street fighter. I was born and raised in New Jersey, and I lived in every major city in this country on the streets. I was out there with the drug dealers, the prostitutes, the bad people. I was out there, and I could proudly pat myself on the back that I had never, ever had to do anything immoral or illegal to feed myself. I know the streets. That's all I'm telling you. And what you're seeing is mob rule, where if you refuse to pay your taxes or you refuse to pay a fine, they're going to send the boys out to break your legs. You see what I'm saying? They're going to send the boys out with their guns, and they're going to take you and put you in a cage. And if you still resist, they're going to shoot you. That is not freedom.
Yeah, well, they're actually starting debtors' prisons up again. You know, I know in, where was it? Illinois or something, one of those places like that. I think it was Illinois. But anyway, they started out debtors' prison. So let's say you go to the emergency room and you can't afford, the emergency room payment, whatever it is, $1,000, and you stop making payments on that. Instead of just getting a bill, they're literally going to come arrest you and put you in jail. And this doesn't matter if you're an old grandma or what.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's not freedom. Where's freedom in that? Think about it. Let me ask a question, Lisa. How many times have you had traffic tickets?
In my teenage years, a lot.
A lot. And how many of them did you beat?
A lot. In my teenage years, a lot. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Did you beat them?
No. I paid them and lost my license, I think, like 3 times due to just being stupid, running stop signs and speeding and just, yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of bad.
Right. Let me ask you this, Lisa. How well do you know the Constitution?
I know in generalities. I'm not an expert.
Neither am I. But I do know this. Before the Civil War, this Constitution was based on common law. That would mean you and I, the citizens, we were the police. This was before we had professional police. We had the sheriff, which was the only real professional police other than the United States Marshals. United States Marshals would get a guy that was a bad dude that do crimes across state lines. The sheriff was king of the castle. He was the number one law enforcement agent in that county. And all other law enforcement, even the United States Marshals, had to answer to him when they were in his county. Okay, so if you or I went out and found some guy doing something really bad, stealing something, let's say, and we apprehended him, we would take that man to the sheriff. The sheriff and you would go back to the scene or whatever it takes to find the evidence to convict this man for what he was doing. And then the sheriff would take him before the court. And the judge, the only thing the judge did was make sure that everyone, their rights were protected and their civil liberties were protected. The jury is the one that would decide whether this man was guilty, not guilty, what was admissible in court, what wasn't admissible, blah, blah, blah. The fate of this man determined by the people that lived in his town, and that's what the jury did. The prosecutor presented the evidence that you and the sheriff gave to him to convict the guy that you caught doing what he's doing. And because you're the one that caught him, you would be the accuser. So you have to be there in court too. But that was common law, right, where we carried guns. We were the professional policemen, the citizens were. And then after the Civil War, they went to maritime law. Corrupted our Constitution, changed the 13th Amendment around, the 14th Amendment around, and then went into maritime law. And then from there, we switched over to corporate law. And what we are living under right now is corporate law. So when you go, let's say you get a seatbelt ticket, all right, and you go into the courtroom and you're standing before the judge. Well, if you ever listen to all these other people in court during traffic court, they're giving the boo-hoo story and say, well, Judge, this happened, and this is why this happened, blah, blah, blah. And quite frankly, the judge doesn't give a rat's ass what that guy's got to say. When he does care is when he has solid evidence to prove that he's innocent or guilty. You follow me? So what happens is you go and you got that seatbelt ticket. First thing you got to do is box the judge into his jurisdiction. Just like a cop, he does have jurisdiction, and you have to box him in. He can get in trouble with the state board if he goes outside of his jurisdiction. So the way you box him in is while the court reporter's sitting there typing everything being said, you ask the judge, are we on the record? And as soon as he says, yes, we're on the record, he is now boxed into his jurisdiction. So now he has to stick to the letter of the law. Empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to call it, makes no difference. He has to stick to the letter of the law. So then the cop that gave you the ticket, let's say he shows up. If he doesn't, you're automatically dismissed because state witness didn't show up. But if he does, and you call that cop to the stand, and you ask him, the legal term for what he did, writing you a ticket, is called a cause of action. So you ask that cop, officer, is that a valid cause of action? Chances are him, the prosecutor, and the judge are going to laugh at you and say, hey, yeah, it is. And then your third and final question should be, officer, can you give me the elements involved in that cause of action? The prosecutor stands up and says, objection, on the account that the witness is incompetent to answer the question. And even if the cop could answer the question, it would only help your case. And what are those three elements? Those elements are injury, damage, or violation of someone else's civil liberties. If you had not done one of those three things, there was no crime. No victim, no crime. And that's common law. But today's corporate law, they want to collect revenue, and they ignore these things, and they'll try to get around those things. But without those three elements being violated, the court has no standing. And if the court has no standing, there is no case. That judge has no choice but to say dismissed. Are you following me now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
it's
where's all our callers? Are we just talking to each other?
It's definitely where things need to go back, for sure. For sure.
And it'll never go back because throughout history, no one could ever tell me that there was a tyrant that just walked away peacefully. Never. And then there's the other people. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I really honestly do. I've had way too many things in my life happen to ever deny the existence of God. However, there's these people that have this notion that somehow, some way, God and his army are going to come down and save the day and destroy all the evil for us. Nowhere in history has God ever done that.
I have to agree with you on that. I believe that why would God train up an army just to pull them out? I mean, if he loves everybody so much and he wants to give them every moment of time possible to them, he would never pull out his salt and his light and the opportunity to witness to them until the very last moment, which means we're going to be in it and we're going to be suffering. So you can't look at God as an escape route.
Absolutely right. And just like this indoctrinating in school where they're training kids to believe that socialism is the best idea and communism is a good idea, and these kids are being taught this stuff, and they're just going on and on about how to make these kids think the way they want them to think. And it's working because they've been in public school for so long. Well, the same thing with the church. The church, every time I go to church, even this past the church once, and still the preachers are standing up there talking about the feel-good Jesus. Okay, Jesus was a good man. He was the Son of God. He was the embodiment of good. But he also said that there's a time for everything. Time for war, time to kill, time to live, time for peace, time to reap, time to sow, and so on. He said he himself lost his temper with the people that were exchanging money in the temple because they were corrupting the Father's house. The point is, yeah, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, but which brings me to my next topic, responsibility. And that responsibility is if you sit back and you see somebody, let's say, beating somebody up and you just walk by and do nothing because you don't want to get involved. Well, if that guy dies, his blood is on your hands because you did nothing. Evil men will flourish when good people do nothing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
that brings me to politics again. I hear these people see the comments and they say, well, we need to wait for the military men to come and lead the way. They need to lead the charge. Well, 50% of those military men will not fight as military men. They will fight as citizens. The other 50% that are sworn loyal to the government will be fighting against the citizens. However, back to responsibility. How is it that the people can sit there and say that they condone the soldiers going out and shooting all the bad guys and doing whatever it is to protect freedom and liberty, but it's not okay for them to do it? How can you condone one man or group of men killing, but you can't do it yourself? When you condone that person to do so, you're just as guilty as the person that pulled the trigger. So if you're waiting for the military to come and save the day and shoot all the bad politicians and all the bad cops and bring us back to freedom, if that's what you're waiting for, then you're a hypocrite. Because the fact is that if you condone the soldiers going out and killing these people, but you can't do it yourself, you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Because killing is killing. Back to religion. The original 10 Commandments did not say, thou shalt not kill. It said, thou shalt not murder. Now, what's the difference between killing and murder? Do you know the difference?
Well, killing is, a description of the taking of a life. I mean, you could kill a horse because it needs to be put down. Whereas
sure.
Murder, is a crime.
It's a crime against somebody because you violated their right to live. And you did it in a devious way for a devious reason, whatever. But to kill, I could go out and kill a deer for food. I could kill a tomato for food. I could kill I could kill a horse because he needs to be put down. Yeah, but that's not evil. That's not evil intent. That's not devious. But I could also kill somebody that grabbed a hold of you, started ripping your clothes off, and deciding he's going to have his way with you because he knows he can overpower you, and I walk up and put a hole in his head. I didn't kill him for evil, devious reasons. I killed him to protect you. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Okay, so the same thing. If I went out there and shot a politician or a cop or a judge, it's because they're passing things that are evil, that are making you live under slavery or oppressed or in a cage, or they're just outright going around hurting and killing people all the time, which they've been doing. And now's the time to say enough is enough, and now's the time to start retaliating back. I'm not saying run around shooting people. I'm saying let's find ways to go out there and get our hands on these people and make them see the fear of God in their eyes when we're done with them. And if it's possible for the ones that are really, really, really bad, to put them in a position where they think they have no choice, and they stick their own gun in their mouth and they blow their own heads off. Not saying we ought to go around like a bunch of murdering things, but back to the thing of that, murder. When you've got one man on the battlefield and another man on the battlefield, both men know why they're there, and they're there with each other's consent to do battle. And if they're there to do battle consensually, Nobody's trying to run away. They're there because they want to do battle because both sides think that their side is right. Murder. It's not for evil content. It's for whatever you're standing for. Does any of this make sense, or do I sound like a nutcase?
No, I get it, and a lot of people who have formed militias, think the same way, and they plan, they plot, and they strategize, and there is, like you said, a time and a place for all of that, and I'm glad there's people who are putting thought into it. I don't advocate, violence or starting, anything, but I do think in a reactive situation that it's okay to protect yourself. I do.
Okay, so what does the government got to do before you find it, mentally find it okay to start protecting yourself? Because let's put it this way. If you got cops coming to your house without warrants, they violated your right, your Fourth Amendment right, your right to privacy. If they restrain you when they have no evidence against you because you were in your house, how could you be committing a crime? You were in your house. And they just decided to come and see you and do whatever it is they're doing. Let's say you got a garden in the backyard. Who the hell are you hurting having a garden in your backyard? And it's your yard, your little piece of America. You do not need the government's permission. That's another issue, another thing that I didn't even plan on talking about. But people think government authority, me, subject to that authority. You've got to stop thinking that way, because that's the reason why we're in the problem we're in, is because we do not think like kings and queens of this country. We think like subjects. And that's the biggest problem that we have. We are not subjects. We are the kings and queens. You have your piece of America, I have mine. You're queen of your castle, I'm king of mine. And that means that if I'm the guy that's buying that piece of land, paying for that house, I do not need government permission to do whatever I want to do to make that house the way I like it. Or if I want to have a garden, I don't need it. However, the government disagrees with that. They think I need to come to them for a permit. I need to come to them and ask their permission to have a garden and pay them money. And if I refuse to buy their permit, me in a cage. That's not freedom.
Well, I agree.
That is government tyranny.
You can also fight inside the judicial system and inside the, like here in Colorado, for example, you can actually amend the Constitution without legislation being introduced from politicians. The people themselves can actually go out and introduce legislation. It's not in every state, but amending the Constitution
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Every single state should be that way, because if you read the document, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the power falls to the state or the people. But in the Declaration of Independence, it clearly states that the people have the authority and the power to abolish or alter any form of government. So if we went out there and started grabbing these government people, sticking them in a cage, and having our own citizens' grand jury trials, and convicting and sentencing these people for their treasonous crimes against freedom, we have every right to do that because we are independent individuals, free, and so on. Did you know that during the Revolution, not only was it going on here, it was going on in England. There was a group of men, I don't remember the names of them, but they got a hold of the King of England during that war. and they put the gun to his head, and they told him, "You're going to sign this piece of paper, or we're going to pull the trigger." And that's where the term free man came from. But the elitists had different plans. The people founded the United States on Judeo-Christian values. The government did not. The government founded it on pagan gods. Look at the Capitol building itself. From a bird's eye point of view, it looks like a man with his chin to his chest, and the Washington Monument is his erection. Well, that is actually a temple to the god Osiris, the resurrecting god. Greek mythology. It was the father of Zeus, Hades, and I might have that wrong, but I know it is not. It is not. The whole city is not designed on Judeo-Christian. It's designed on a pagan god. That's the eye above the pyramid. Anyway, I don't know. I just think that people need to start acting now, because one way or another, if you sit back and you wait, it's going to be bad if you wait. If you start working on it now, you might be able to whittle down some of their powers. Right now, we should be stealing back, taking our own tanks and all those rounds of bullets and all those weapons that they bought. We should be taking them. We should be what's the word I'm looking for? Finding their convoys and taking everything that they bought and using it against them. We should be seizing those FEMA camps, mob rule, whatever you want to call it. We should be taking those things. Besides, the government claims that they don't exist, so I guess they can't lose something. This NSA database in Utah and up there in Maryland, we should be finding a way to shut them down. We need to start doing something. If we don't start doing something soon, we're going to have a whole lot of dead people and a whole lot of detained people. It's not going to be pretty. Hello, welcome back to the show. Sorry I got a ranting so much, I didn't even know that we were fixing to go to a commercial. Anyhow, Lisa, do you have anything to say to rebuttal anything I said already?
Well, like I said, I'm not an advocate of violence. I'm an advocate of using the system. I know the system in itself is corrupt and the battle is an uphill battle, but I'm very cautious about advocating violence. Of course, when martial law does occur, all bets are off.
Absolutely. But now let me ask you something. You just went through some sort of court thing in Colorado for foreclosure, is that correct?
Yes.
What if I told you that you were the only person in that courtroom concerned with your problem?
I would agree.
Okay.
I mean, I would agree as far as the attorneys and the judge. Yeah, they're all against me.
Absolutely, they are, because they are working for the state. They're not working for you. Where in common law, they did work for you. Remember what I said, that the only thing the judge did in the common law court was make sure that everybody's civil liberties were protected and their rights were adhered to. Well, here's the thing. If you're standing in court and that judge, who's paying his paycheck? The state is. Who's paying the prosecutor? The state is. So everybody there, you already do not have a fair trial because you're not sitting in front of your peers. You should be in front of a jury of your peers, not a judge. But a lot of folks don't realize what exactly the court's purpose is. From the beginning of our designed to maintain and protect the civil liberties, period. So that means that the judge is supposed to make sure that the accused and the accuser, both their rights are being protected. They do not do that no more. Remember about the seatbelt ticket? Well, the seatbelt ticket, you're not hurting nobody, you're not damaging anything, and you're not violating nobody's civil liberties. So therefore, today's courts, well, they don't care about that. If you didn't wear a seatbelt, that's an excuse to take your money. It's taxation without representation. Same thing with DMV. A lot of people are going to freak on this one because it's like somebody comes around. Let me put it to you this way. Everybody in your life since the day you were born always told you the sky was pink. So here you are, an adult. You grew up believing the sky was pink. And then one day somebody comes along and goes, what the hell are you talking about, crazy lady? The sky's not pink, it's blue. Well, you're going to think that man's a crazy guy because everybody says the sky's pink. What are you talking about? It's not blue, right? Well, the schools,
right.
the cops, the judges, everybody's always told you that driving is a privilege. This is not correct. If you look up case laws, if I wasn't so stinking senile, I would be able to quote these case laws. But you can find them. That these case laws have proven time and time again that driving is not a privilege. There's two different kinds of people on the road. There's the traveler, and then there's the driver. I sit behind a commercial vehicle wheel. I drive for hire. That makes me a driver. You, in your personal car, going to the store or going to the movies, you are a traveler. Now, you should not ever had to have went and registered your car, license plate, driver's license, insurance, all this happy horse crap. You should have never had to go with any of those things. But you did because somebody somewhere along the way got away with creating a DMV to make sure that you paid the government for your license plate, for your registration, your driver's license. In a personal vehicle, you should be able to go to a car lot, buy yourself a car, mark it with your own brand, just like the cowboys did with their horses and their cows. And you have the choice of registering that brand that you designed with the county in case somebody stole your vehicle. The license plate, if they ever changed it back, well, yeah, you could say, I'll keep the license plate. It's already registered with you guys. But they should not be allowed to just get away with what they're getting away with, because you're not injuring nobody, you're not damaging anything, and you're not violating no one's civil liberties by not having a license plate, driver's license, registration. In a commercial vehicle, totally different scenario. They have every right as a government to require license, testing, registrations, etc. They have all the rights in the world to do that because this is commercial. This is not personal. Now, away from cars, my own personal house, I built an addition for my wife onto my living room. And there was one time when the sheriff came out with the guy that runs the permit office. And this permit guy, he decided I needed to take the structure down because I did not have a permit on record. Well, I looked at him and I said, well, I'm not going to take it down, and I don't need your permission. This is my house, my land. It's unrestricted. I can do what I want with it, and you can't do nothing about it. The sheriff's, he says, well, the sheriff's going to see to it that you don't. And I looked at the sheriff and I said, you gonna let him get away with this? Because this is my land. I'm the one that pays the bill here. I do not need government permission to do this. And he wanted to argue with me. You want to know how I ended this argument and had the sheriff walk that guy off the property?
How?
I simply told the man, I says, if I had hired a professional carpenter to do this, you would be absolutely right. I would have to have a permit and all that stuff because I hired a commercial person to do this. But I did not. I did it all myself, personally. No commercial, no business, just me. So, unrestricted land, officer, would you please escort this man off my property? And I had what I want. They went away. Simple as that. There's a difference between personal and commercial. Now, if you're getting your house foreclosed, I can't say much about real estate because I really don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that there's people out there that take full advantage of it. Now, what I did one time with a car when I was a kid, I had the 1968 Rambler. Couldn't wait to drive it. Couldn't wait so bad that I had to drive it even before I had a license plate or registration or any of that stuff. And, of course, the cops impounded my car. And they put it in the car impound yard, and after 15 days, they'd sold it off. Well, I got a hold of a buddy of mine named Donald. Donald, I gave him my money, and they sold it to him for $58. He came out and handed me the paperwork. I went and re-registered in my name, got my car back.
Oh, yeah?
I couldn't personally go in there and buy the car back, but I sent my buddy Donald in there with my money, and he went and bought the car back under his name and then gave it over to me. I had my car back. So if they foreclosed on your house, you get somebody to go in there with your money and buy your house back for the tax lien price, and you got your house back.
Yeah, well, if that's true, if it's a house tax problem, but that's not the problem.
Yeah, see, I'm just talking. I don't know your problem, and I ain't gonna ask because it ain't none of my damn business. I'm just giving you an example of what I did to get around that system.
Right.
Anyway, I have to admit, Lisa, I have to admit that this has been a fun show. I didn't realize talk radio could be so much fun. Anybody out there listening wants to call in, the number is 347-855-8301. Got an open board. Give us a call. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, if you call that number and press 1, then we'll know that you want to be on the air. You can just call the number and listen in too.
That's right. And if anybody's got something to say that want to correct me on something or give us your idea, I'm sure there's people out there with better ideas than me. But all I know is that the only way we're ever going to win this thing without millions of us dying is to become ghosts and start doing things like a ghost where they can't find us. They don't know who they are because if you're in a black mask and your face and eyes and everything is covered and no fingerprints and no shoe prints and you start doing what you got to do, and then you disappear in the crowd once you take that mask off and put a different shirt on. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but you got to change the rules because if you go up against them as a standing army, they're going to kick your ass because that's what they've been training to do. If you wait until they come and invade your town and your home, a lot of us are going to die because that's what they've been training to do. That's why they have those targets with pregnant women and old men and little boys and all that to desensitize them into thinking, oh, this is the way it's got to be. Cops today are being trained to obey orders no matter what. They don't know the difference between a constitutional order versus an unconstitutional order. And they don't even realize that the police are no different than the military. In the military, if a commander is giving unethical or unconstitutional orders, it's the next in command's duty to relieve that commander of his duty, detain him, and charge him, and assume his duty. Well, the cops are supposed to be doing the same thing. Anybody giving them unethical, unconstitutional orders or telling them to enforce unconstitutional laws, that cop is supposed to, by law, by duty, supposed to be arresting anybody giving him them kind of orders. Where are the good cops? If there's good cops, prove me wrong. Where are they? I don't see them. They're not turning in any bad cops. They're not arresting any judges or politicians that are violating their oath. Where are they? Are they cowards? Are they so afraid to how their buddies that also have equal power in the system that they do, or what's going to happen? I mean, look at the story of the New Jersey State Police. What did they call themselves? Officers of punishment or something like that. One of their cops turned on them and started saying, "No, I'm not gonna do this. It's unconstitutional." And every one of those other cops, lords of discipline, that's what they called themselves. Every one of those New Jersey State policemen went up against that guy that started fighting against them because they were doing unconstitutional things. That man's life has been a living hell for going up against his own cop buddies. They turned on him quicker than shit. So I understand. But you know what? If we do not stand, who will? If not now, when? When will we stand? I know there's not a lot of people out there who read the book that I wrote, And the Trucks Quit Running, but that's what the book was about. People standing up for what was right, in spite of the factors it was going to be inconvenient or maybe even hurt a wee bit. You got to stand up for what's right. I mean, I don't know about you, Lisa, but I could not walk by and let somebody get beat up by a cop. I would wind up either dead or getting beat up myself, because I would go after the cop and try to give that guy a chance to get away. If that cop was hurting somebody or shooting somebody, I would do what I had to do, because it's not right. They're supposed to be public servants. They're not above us, but they like to pretend they are. And it ain't never going to change until we take a stand and start putting a little punishment to these people. It's amazing what a spanking can do once in a while.
You know, it's true. It's true that things are bad. Things are corrupt. I wouldn't say every judge is corrupt. I wouldn't say every lawyer is corrupt. I wouldn't say every police officer is corrupt. But the majority, yeah. And especially if you start looking at it the way you were describing it, is okay. So if you're a good cop, why aren't you turning in the bad cops?
Exactly. If there are good cops and good judges and good lawyers and good prosecutors and good politicians, why the hell aren't they doing something? Let's use Ted Cruz for an example. If you or I went after him, all he would have to do is say one word and he would have 100 cops on you in no time flat, right?
Right.
All right, so why in the hell can't he do the same thing for John McCain or these other guys that have committed treason when they supported Obama sending weapons and money and troops to Syria to fight with Al-Qaeda? Why didn't he have the cops do something? Where's Judge Napolitano, Judge Genie? Why ain't these people getting together and putting out warrants for these people's arrests? Where are they? Are they so afraid to lose their cushy little spotlight media jobs? What about the Supreme Court judges? There's supposed to be some good conservatives on there. Why ain't they putting some warrants out for these people's arrests? What about the cops all over this country? That they stand there and they watch this guy get shot because of because whatever the hell was going on, I don't remember this. I just remember seeing it a few days ago. They cornered this guy in his car, and then they beat him up. Oh, well, what the hell? Where's the good cops? Why ain't they putting those cops in handcuffs and saying, hey, you just violated your oath, pal. You abused your power. Now you got to go to jail. Well, where are they? If there is good, prove me wrong. Start arresting these people for violating their oath. Believe it or not, it is a crime to violate your oath.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing happening because nobody wants to be the one to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible says that the road to destruction is wide and narrow, or wide and smooth and easily traveled. And the road to salvation is a narrow road. It's hard and rough, hard to navigate. Well, what that means is doing the right thing. It's going to be the hard thing to do. And as much as you might love your child, you still got to give him a whale on his butt once in a while to put him in line. You might have to, if you have a kid that's on drugs, you might have to turn your back on that kid to make them understand. You want my love and you want my help, you got to give that up. You got to do something. God himself, the prodigal son, he has to let us skin our knees. He has to let us get a few bruises to make us understand. Well, we got to do this and we got to do this right. Well, doing the right thing is always going to be the hard thing to do because everybody else wants to do the easy thing. And the easy thing is, I didn't see anything. What are you talking about? I didn't see any cops abusing anybody. I didn't see any judges violating anybody's rights. The sheriff could be standing there in a courtroom, and if he saw the judge violating somebody's rights, that sheriff has the authority to walk up there and arrest that judge. Where is he? Where are these guys?
Yeah.
The problem is we have become a complacent society.
Kind of smiling on the system, you know?
Yeah, well, everybody doesn't want to. Even we, the people, we're no better. Well, I can't do this. I got bills to pay. I got to do the job. If the dollar collapses, let me rephrase that. It's not if. It's when the dollar collapses. Nobody's getting paid. Nobody's going to get their bills paid. Nobody's going to be able to go to the store and buy something. Unless, of course, you got a bunch of gold. If you got some gold, well, maybe you might be able to get by for a while until everybody else finds out you got gold and then they come and shoot you and take your gold from you. The point is that it's going to happen. And if you wait until they come to you, there's going to be a big problem. In my fantasy world, the cops come down the street and they're raiding house to house, and all the neighbors get together and they ambush the cops just when they get right to my house. But in the real world, that ain't going to happen. I'm going to be standing there probably sleeping 3 o'clock in the morning, sleeping like the dead because I sleep hard, and they're probably going to just shoot and kill us because we will resist. We will not go quietly.
Well, that's the truth. There's a lot of people out there. It's a growing number of people who are willing to resist and who are willing to fight. And I think there's a growing awakening to where people understand this is tyrannical. It's out of control.
I absolutely agree. There's lots and lots and lots of people out there that are waking up. However, they're still waiting for the military guys to come and save the day for them. They're waiting for the right general and soldiers to come in and lead the charge. It's not going to happen that way. We, the people, have to lead the charge. Because, it's just never going to happen that way. If it did, great, but that's not going to happen. When we went to the trucking rally, There should have been every militia in this country should have been there. When the veterans were there, every veteran in this country should have been there. And everyone that supported those veterans should have been there. When Obama announced that he was making a business appointee, the business czar or whatever you want to call him, he had no authority to do that. Every single person should have been up in arms on that, saying, every business owner should have been up there saying, whoa, 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 you ain't got the authority to do that. Where were they? Everybody wants to talk. They don't want to leave their computers. They don't want to leave their jobs. They don't want to suffer a little bit. But if you don't suffer now, you're really going to suffer later. Just like in Nazi Germany. Everybody says, oh, no, man, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And the next thing you know, they've got George Soros at 14 years old slamming a railroad car train in a bunch of his Jewish family and friends, neighbors' face. And then they're being killed by the millions. So,
yeah, I mean, there's so much, Earl, isn't there? I mean, as far as, we've got the wars going on. We've got chemtrails. We've got fluoride. We've got GMOs. We've got corrupt police officers, corrupt judges. I mean, it's every level.
I absolutely love you, Lisa. Every time you open your mouth, you remind me of shit I'm supposed to say. Chemtrails, fluoride in the water. Why are they poisoning us? Why are they doing this? Because they want to make sure that when they go for their mass depopulation, if you got one chemical that is harmless over here all by itself, but once you add this next chemical in, it becomes absolutely lethal. I've, in 51 years of my life, have never seen snow that burned. Did you see those videos on YouTube? Or
yeah.
I've never seen snow that burned. Well, all these chemtrails all over the place, and I've been seeing a hell of a lot of them, a lot more lately. And you got to think, they got to be doing something. And by themselves, I doubt that they're anything lethal all by themselves. But when they're ready for that depopulation thing, it's going to activate something, and it's going to kill a lot of people. And like I said, we can sit back and wait for it, or we can do something about it now. That's, to me, it makes as much sense as waiting. If you want to live and you go and you wait till cancer hits stage 4 to do something about it, you're screwed. If you get it at 2, maybe early 3, you might be able to save yourself. So you got to go and attack the cancer now. Don't wait until it's stage 4. When it's stage 4, you're screwed.
Well,
and as much as I agree with you about violence, I don't want violence. I hate the idea of violence. I honestly, truly do. And as I said in the beginning of the show, I'm a nice guy. My wife has said to me that she thinks I'm the most decent man she's ever met. I find that a high compliment. However, because I grew up on the streets, I have that little internal switch that if somebody was out to hurt me or my family, I could shut that switch off. I'd cut their throat and go have breakfast and feel no guilt about it if they're out to do evil to me and my family. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. You've got to be able to do what you got to do to protect yourself and your family. And there's no guilt in doing what's right. And that evil, there's no negotiating with evil. Evil people, you can't negotiate with them. There's some people that I know a certain person that she gets sorry that not because she did something, but she gets sorry because she got caught. Now, it doesn't make her evil. It just makes her selfish. But there's people out there in this government, they ain't like that. They think that you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, and you don't know what's best for you. But they do. They think they know what's best for them, for you. People, they want nothing more than to control everything about you, because each and every one of these countries are not countries. They're people farms, and the elite are the masters of the farm. Pardon me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's hard. It's a hard thing to see the country, and the world go down the drains, and at the hands of 13 families, some would say, banking families that are kind of at the top of everything.
Yeah, well, the good news is that the Lord said in the end days that it would be brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor, nation against nation. Here we are. But at the end of that, we do see the King come home. I do honestly believe that you and I will see the return of Lord Jesus Christ in our lifetime.
Well, we're certainly in the last days. I know that much. And it certainly is a good versus evil.
And all we can do is try to maintain our lives and our freedom and whittle down the evil the best we can. And if you're going to the voting booth to do that, well, what about the fact that most of these voting machines are owned by George Soros? They're corrupted. You go to the courthouse to fight your case. The judge is corrupted too, because he's enjoying that little bit of power. He don't want to give it up. And if he can get some money out of you, well, that's great. Do you know where the money goes when you get a ticket or a fine? Money doesn't go just to the county. It goes to England. Then England sends some of it to the Vatican. I could be way off base and 100% wrong, but something tells me that our first Revolutionary War wasn't what it seems, because after that war was over, we have all these pagan buildings in Washington, D.C., and all these devil worshippers and Osiris worshippers in D.C., and yet we still have ancient Roman and English rules, such as your birth certificate, your car title, your house title. All that is under English rule. Your name is in capital letters on your birth certificate. And it doesn't say birth certificate. It says certificate of birth. The real birth certificate is somewhere else that you'll never find. But you look and you see these letters, these numbers on the bottom right, or it's the bottom left, one or the other, I don't remember. But those numbers, you can find those numbers on the stock exchange. Your cattle, you're bought and sold every day. They figure out from the day you were born how many dollars in taxes that you are potentially going to buy. And that's how they do their investments. You can look all this up. I'm not lying to you. I've read it myself.
Yeah. No, I believe you.
So that would
it's
that right there shows we're cattle.
Yeah. Literally livestock.
Absolutely. How can we be free if we're going to allow people to treat us like livestock?
So what's the answer then?
The answer is doing the right thing. It means that you have to go up against evil. Did Jesus do when he was on earth? He went after the scribes and Pharisees and all the hypocrites, But he also went and ate with the sinners. And he said to the sinners, well, this is what you get if you become a believer in God. And you know, he testified to them of the good news of God, that his kingdom come. But at the same time, he spent the whole time pointing fingers at the scribes and the Pharisees that weren't what they seemed. They were just people that wake up every day thinking that they are better than us. Here's the thing. I would bet money that every country, every citizen in every country of this world, not one of them wakes up in the morning thinking, oh, hell, I'm going to go out and kill me some Christians, or I'm going to go out and kill me some Jews, or, oh, damn these people, I'm going to go see if I can go kill a few of them. Nobody wakes up that way. Nobody wakes up thinking, well, I ought to get control of all them Christian people and make them my slaves. Nobody wakes up that way. Wake up, you contemplate on what you got to do for the day, you think about what your wife and kids need and what bills got to be paid, and you've got to go to work and do what you got to do. But those people that want to rule us, they are different than us. They do think that, well, we need to get control of them damn Tea Party people. We need to get control of them damn conservatives. And if they don't want to obey us, then we're going to have to eliminate them because they're making things really hard on us. We don't like it. That's the way they think. Right. The difference between a free person thinking about the love of their family and taking care of their family, being kind to their neighbors, whatever. We think normal free man stuff. But the authoritarians, cops, judges, and the politicians, and this is all countries, not just ours, they get up in the morning. They're not thinking about just what we think about. They're thinking, them damn people, we need to get them under control. I'll be damned if I'm going to let some sovereign citizen movement get in my way. You see what I'm saying? And the elitists, the ones that the world bankers, the elitists, the people that really are the big bosses, oh, they absolutely hate us.
Oh yeah. Well, there's, if you look at it, there's a plan of eugenics going on. So there's certainly not a care for people, if that's the truth.
Well, this is true. Now, let's say, for example, your state, Colorado, let's say your state said, okay, here's how we're going to do things from now on. From now on, everyone from the governor to the local police officer will do everything 100% constitutional. If they get caught doing something unconstitutional, they will be fined, jailed, or removed from office, or all of the above. How long would it take, do you think, how long would it take for them to start thinking, whoa, I don't want to lose my job, and I don't want to fine, I don't want to get put in jail for violating my oath to office. When was the last time you saw a senator, a congressman, or anybody that does any of that stuff write something up where government gets to go to jail, gets fined, or removed from office for violating the Constitution? Never.
Yeah, right.
Never. Why? Because they want to control us. They make laws, rules, regulations, all that crap to control us. And they make themselves above those laws because they think they're better than you. They think we're stupid. Well, these stupid people out here are going to wind up losing their minds, and then they are going to go out and start shooting people. I don't want that. I don't want to see anybody get shot. And if anybody has to get shot, it should be the bad people. I mean, like I said, I could sit here all day long picking cops and judges off of the YouTube from videos of watching these people violating their oath, committing crimes against the freedom and the people. I could go to these people, and if I could find each and every one of them, and I had enough help to do it, each and every one of those people on those YouTubes would be made an example of. That's just me.
Well, I got to tell you, something's got to change, you know. That's
and it ain't
true.
never going to change until we, the people, stand up. But instead of standing up, we're waiting for the military to come and save the day. Or waiting for Jesus and his army of angels to come down and save the day. It ain't going to happen. This is our fight. We have to do it. Either face the ugly now or let the ugly come to you. And when it comes to you, it's going to be too late.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, you know, at least Earl, you're trying to come up with some solutions instead of
that's
just,
the whole idea of right. Well, that's the whole idea of me wanting to do this show. Is I don't want to debate issues. I want to come up with solutions. And if I don't have the answer, I'm sure somebody out there might. But it's got to be a viable solution, an actionable solution, because we've already tried every peaceful way. We're running out of options, and we're definitely running out of time. Austin lives
I'm
in.
still one who believes in trying to go through the law and the courtrooms and everything.
All right. Well,
that's
let me say this then before we run out of time. Going through the law is, according to the Declaration of Independence, that we the people have the right to abolish and alter any form of government. But do you think the government's going to allow us to do that peacefully?
right.
That's the law. We have that right to do that. We are the kings and queens of this land. But the government will not allow us to do that, and they've led us to believe that we have to submit to them and their law. What if I told you that the state is an illusion? There is no state. What if I told you that? You would think I'm a nut?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to YouTube when you get a chance. Go to
YouTube.
YouTube.
Would surprise me, Earl.
Well, go to YouTube, look up Mark Stevens, Adventure in Legal Land, and you'll find a video in there where he talks about that. And he describes it a lot better than I could, that how the state and the boundaries and all that, it's just a piece of paper.
Yep.
It does not exist.
Hey, we got to wrap up the show. We've got 2 minutes left. Why don't you let people know what's going on for you next week, and also a reminder, tomorrow evening, Last Voice for Liberty with Lee Peer. Go ahead, Earl. What's going on next week?
All right, next week I got a young lady named Gail Patricia Whitwright. I think I got her name right. Anyhow, yeah, Whitwright is her last name, and she's going to come on the show next Sunday, and she's going to talk about Common Core. She's a school teacher in the state of Connecticut, and she's also the founder of Proposition USA, and she's going to come on and tell us all about that stuff, and hopefully we'll get some callers in next week. But that's about all I got planned for so far. All righty?
Well, you know, we just take it 1 week at a time. Earl, congratulations on your first talk show, and we welcome you here. We're so glad to have you here at Truth Emerges Network. I think you're a natural at this, and I'm real excited about the things to come. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow evening with Lee Peer, Last Voice for Liberty. Lee Peer is another gritty, tell it like it is host, and he actually might drop a few uncensored words here and there. So put the kids to bed before tomorrow night's show.
And I want to say special thanks to Austin Thomas and Liberty Lisa for giving me this show and carrying the bill. And later on, I am going to put out a tip jar because I definitely need help. So thank you.
Aww.
Thank you for listening.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.